If you think about what has been happening across Europe over the last decades, we have been witnessing an increase in the demand for formal long-term care services, and this is expected to continue in the foreseen future. At the same time, you do have some difficulty in selling the idea of expanding long-term care services to local and national governments. If you look at the European landscape, apart from some very few cases, most countries do not have comprehensive systems of long-term care provision. So, pressured to expand long-term care systems, decision makers do need to make sure that they allocate their resources that are scarce in the best possible manner. And this is where SPRINT is coming from. The broad ambition of SPRINT, if we can put it in these terms, is to actually develop a model of social metrics that will aid decision makers in long-term care to make the best decisions, the most informed decisions when allocating resources, considering the different alternatives they have and based on the expected impacts those different alternatives may have. So this is where SPRINT is coming from. We want to look at long-term care as social investment, and we want to consider the different impacts that long-term care decisions may have for a broad array of stakeholders, with the hope of helping to locate the best investments based on the returns. Well, you are right when you say it is a new way of thinking about the social policy making process. So basically, what this involves is a shift in some of the fundamental pillars of mainstream policy analysis, and in the specific field of long-term care, this involves a shift from focusing on long-term care as a source of costs, but instead looking at the impacts, at the returns of the resources that you may allocate to the different long-term care systems or services or schemes. It also involves a shift in how social agents that are involved in the policy making process. It involves moving away from a clear-cut divide between those who pay, who bear the costs, and those who collect the benefits. It involves looking at long-term care from a life course perspective, if you want, considering the different roles that we all have along our lives. If you want to think about the dimensions of impact that long-term care may have, to discuss it from a social policy perspective, I would highlight a couple of topics. So on one hand, we want to look at long-term care policies as capacitating policies in the sense that they increase the flow of workers into the labor market. On the other hand, we want to look at long-term care policies in their ability to prevent rather than solely repairing the damages associated to specific life events, in this case to the onset of some sort of dependency from the old person. So social investment in long-term care is about prevention, it's about rehabilitation to foster independent living and autonomy for as long as you possibly can, postponing the need for institutional care, typically more expensive. But social investment in long-term care is also about helping those with care responsibilities, namely avoiding some of the bad consequences of engaging in care, and I'm thinking here about burden, deterioration of health, both physical health, mental health, but also helping them reconciling care, family life with work, which, if you want to put it in an even broader context and look at impacts on society as a whole, will have impacts in terms of the sustainability of the social protection systems. It will have fiscal impacts, so on and so forth.